that stand and walk with the Lord's statutes and commandments of the Most High. And we don't care who we got to come up against. You ain't standing before this truth. You understand? We done took them all on, ain't gonna continue to take them all on. Of my true love's head.
Surrounded by Edomites, lost a lot of truth to this tree of life. Open up the book just to see I'm right. Reminiscing on my ancestors, on those ships who had to plead for life. Took us to a place where ain't never safe there. Poisoning our foods and put our children up in daycare. Fresh out of slavery, still thinking that they care. Guns in the community, children can't play there. Brothers still brainwashed, we died for that same cost. Took away our history, believing that we ain't lost. Brother, I'm an Israelite, sin is like kryptonite. Brothers won't pray, no, they rob a link a chick tonight. Praises to the Most High, I ain't like most guys. Eyes on the future, but I learned from a boat ride. Tribe of Benjamin, inherited on both sides. Background Jamaica, mistreated and I know why. I'm an Israelite, die for the Israelites. Blood of the Israelites, cry for the Israelites. Going through it cause we're Israelites. Kwam Yashra Allah to all my Israelites. I'm an Israelite, die for the Israelites. Blood of the Israelites, cry for the Israelites. Going through it cause we're Israelites. Kwam Yashra Allah to all my Israelites.
Kwam Yasha Allah, sons of the power. Rise from the ghetto when Satan want us devoured. The seal of the Lord ain't found in church towers. Never dying on my knees like no coward. Wanna be an Israelite, you gon' need more than fringes. You gon' need to show you approve and get in them scriptures. Oh, I forgot to mention, traumatized from the lynching. Homicide, we the victim. Homicide ain't the ending. Kids with PTSD, suffering symptoms, never getting treatment. Something he gotta sleep with. Stockholm syndrome so long, it ain't a secret. That's why I die for them brothers I'm facing east with. Cause I'm an Israelite, crackers better get it right. Visions of my enemies, death flow through my dreams at night. If your mind ain't there, then we don't dream alike. Reporting live from hell, home of Christians and Edomites.
I'm an Israelite, die for the Israelites. Blood of the Israelites, cry for the Israelites. Going through it cause we're Israelites. Kwam Yashra Allah to all my Israelites. I'm an Israelite, die for the Israelites. Blood of the Israelites, cry for the Israelites. Going through it cause we're Israelites. Kwam Yashra Allah to all my Israelites.
While they play the sidelines, comfortable on benches. Catch me on the front lines, putting work in trenches. Making sure our election, preparing for Armageddon. Mastering this profession of prophesying these lessons. Protecting our adolescents and answering all their questions. Teaching the love they reflection, no matter what the complexion. We got a common connection, a part of God's hand selection. A shot at the resurrection, through us achieving perfection. But to give life takes sacrifice. Battle demons every fight. Short days and long nights. Less sleep and more fights. More wisdom, more strife. Telling everybody that they wrong and you're right. I'm an Israelite, blood of an Israelite. I ride for my Israelites and die for my Israelites. We owe a debt cause Christ paid the price. So who ready to give their life the life of an Israelite?
I'm an Israelite, die for the Israelites. Blood of the Israelites, cry for the Israelites. Going through it cause we're Israelites. Kwam Yashra Allah to all my Israelites. I'm an Israelite, die for the Israelites. Blood of the Israelites, cry for the Israelites. Going through it cause we're Israelites. Kwam Yashra Allah to all my Israelites.
Mind only with it. It's impossible. We ready? Salaki. All right, Most High in Christ. Shalom. Yahweh Hashem Yahshua Barakatham to the men. Shalom. Yahweh Hashem Yahshua to the women. Right? To the sisters. I'm preaching officer 5,000 Matalo with the I.S.U.P.K. under D. Commanding GEN.YAHANNA, under Yahweh, under Yahweh Shah, right? What we're doing is bringing the truth to the so-called Black, Hispanics, and Native Americans here in the Americas, right? And not just but also to the entire world, because the world have to understand that the Most High God has already deemed it so. And I say deemed it so, let's just touch bases on this. God has told Israel that everything the other nations do, he says, don't do them. Because everything the other nations do is an abomination. So that's just the footprint right there. He's letting you know that everything the other nations do is an abomination. So from there, going forward, if we want to look at, well, this man does this, or this nation does this, and this nation does that, God says he doesn't care about those other nations. And everything that doesn't take care, he doesn't care about what they do. He doesn't want us to do those things because everything that they do is an abomination. So when we get into monogamy or monogamous and relationships, I'm looking at Facebook, TikTok, and it seems like it'd be a big platform, a big niche that a lot of women want to vocalize. They feel like they should be vocal and express how they feel and their emotions. Nobody's trying to say that your emotions are not real, but your emotions are not facts. That's the issue. Emotions are not facts, nor are facts emotional. You know what I'm saying? Facts are just that, they're facts. They're fact with either without your emotions or with your emotions. They're going to maintain their integrity, right? So this monogamy belief is strong in the American society. It is not practiced ever, right? It hasn't been practiced in a very long time. If it had ever been practiced, right? Because the scriptures let us know there's no new thing under the sun. So the same things that we're doing now, we get it, with things that were being done at that time. If you don't mind, give me 1 John chapter 3, verse 4. Because what we have to understand is if it's not a sin, right, then it's of God. If it's not a sin, there's no judgment, right? Because sin is a transgression against God's laws. So God didn't establish the law saying a man in this law, a man should only have one wife. You're not going to see that being a law. It was never established, right? But what you do see, if we want to just be rational and be logical, during a time when Israel, or just when there wasn't a captivity, let's put it like that. I'm gonna let him go ahead and read this, and we're gonna jump into the rest of the class. Go ahead and read that for me real quick.
First John chapter 3, verse 9.
Salaki, verse 4.
Salaki, verse 4. Whosoever committed sin,
right? Go ahead.
transgresseth also the law.
They transgress also the law, because breaking God's law is sin. So if we're not breaking God's law, guess what? We're righteous in our acts when we're not breaking the laws of the Most High God. We're counted righteous. We're counted among the righteous when we do the will of the Most High God. Only when we sin do we be counted among the unrighteous. So if there is no sin, there is no, sin. There's no, there's no judgment. You haven't done anything against the Most High God, right?
Right.
If you mind, just give me Genesis chapter 4, verse 19. Just hold that, because what we look at when we look at the Bible, because the Bible is our instructions, right? In righteousness. That's our instructions. Second Timothy chapter 3, verse 16. I was going to paraphrase real quick. It says, all scripture is given for reproof, correction, right? Sound doctrine, and instruction in righteousness, right? So when we understand that, we have to understand that all scriptures, even from Genesis, right? And what we have to rationalize and get just logical across the board is that monogamy only became a real thing in a captivity, when you're under scrutiny, right? You're being punished. You're being hammered, right? Well, what did Pharaoh say before Israel was in captivity? He said, "Look how great this nation is." He feared the multitude. He feared the amount of people. Y'all remember the devices that Pharaoh put together to dwindle down the numbers? He first told the wise men, hey, if it be a girl, let it live. If it be a boy when they're born, unalive. The wise made, they feared the Most High God, so they didn't do what Pharaoh said. And when Pharaoh found out, he was upset. So then guess what Pharaoh did next? He sent his men to go take care of the men of Israel, the young babes of Israel, right? Why? Because the one thing the world feared is the multitude that God has of his people.
Right.
So what sounds like something people would use to control the population? It makes more sense when one woman is not gonna bear 12 children, right? But if you have 2 or 3 wives, it's easy to bear that many children, right?
Right.
So monogamy, first of all, you have to understand, is a way of controlling population,
right?
Which is what we hear all the time from this world anyway. Bill Gates Foundation, right. The Rothschild. You keep going. And all of it's about population control, but it's not population control for the whole world. You get what I'm saying? It's always about a specific group of people.
Right.
Remember Bill Gates? He said, the COVID shot was like the needle. I think because you can't say that word. The needle Let the African Americans take it first. Why was it imperative that we took it first?
Right.
It's your stuff. Y'all take it first, type deal.
Right.
But let me not get too far off. But you have to understand that. But that's what a lot of times monogamy came from. You didn't see it in a time that we weren't in captivity. You didn't see it in a time at all until we were brought into a captivity or brought under another nation's reign. But Slag, go ahead and give me Genesis 4:19. Just read that real quick. We're gonna go through a couple of Genesis just so y'all can see that multiple wives is always a thing, right? But go ahead.
Genesis chapter 4, verse 19. And Lamech took unto him 2 wives.
No, 1 wife.
2 wives.
Because everybody would say, well, Adam only had Eve. Come on, man, stop playing. Yes, Adam had Eve, but there still wasn't the law that said Adam couldn't go get another woman.
Right.
It tells you who Adam was and who his wife was and who his children were, right? Just like Chronicles and everything else is giving you detail of the first men made in the image of the Most High God. Why do we say that? Because we understand in Genesis, when they were in the Garden of Eden, it was other nations around about, because that's expounded later on in other books of the Bible. There were other people during that time. That's why when Cain left his family, he married somebody.
Right.
He didn't leave in abracadabra, alakazam, right? Cain left Adam and Eve. He left after slaying his brother, and found him and got him a wife.
Right.
It's just when we read the New Testament, we're reading from a place where it's giving chronicle information about the beginning of the people. Adam. He was the first man made out of the image of the Most High God, Eve, and then so forth. Just like from Noah, we don't know everybody who died in the flood, but we know Noah survived, and from Noah, it starts again, right?
Right.
So let's not take things out of context and God only gave Adam Eve, and there you go, 1 wife. Because we're gonna go through a couple precepts in Genesis. We're gonna see that it was normal to have more than 1 wife. Monogamy wasn't something that was practiced or spoke about. Right? Go ahead and continue. Slocky, go ahead and read it again from the top.
Genesis chapter 4, verse 19. And Lamech took unto him 2 wives, and the name of the one was Adah, and the name of the other was Zillah.
Okay, pause. Go ahead and give me Genesis chapter 32, verse 22. Again, monogamy, right? When we look at monogamy in its entirety, you have to understand when a word or a definition is created, it's created to have to put something into a box, right? To create something, an idea. Again, monogamy didn't exist, but monogamy came about to what? To push an idea. A man should only have 1 woman. Who holds that definition wholeheartedly? And what do they do with that definition? They use that definition to then give themselves power to usurp that over their husband, right? To manipulate a man, to stop a man from doing what is righteous in the sight of the Most High God. When a woman's duty is to be unto her husband, and the husband's job is to be loyal unto the Most High God. But what do women say? I want my husband to be loyal unto me. Why? Because she wants to be your God.
Right.
She wants to be the thing that how you say it. How do you say it back in the your morning star? The sun rises and sets on her. She wants to be your everything. When you at work and she say, "What are you doing?" She wants you to say something. I was thinking about you. And then why? Because of monogamy. Because the idea that this world is painted and giving women, your husband should only have 1 wife. He should be loyal unto you. He should be bowing down. He should be grateful. He should be happy he got you.
Right.
Now the Bible does say when a man finds a wife, he has found a good thing. But to the point that we worship in our reels, she's using this to usurp herself above. That's you stepping into another realm of unrighteousness. God had established the head of Christ is the Most High God. The head of the church is Christ. The head of the woman is man, right?
Right.
Not woman and then man, or man and woman like this. No, the head of the woman is man, right? But again, go ahead and read what you got for me.
Genesis chapter 32, verse 22. And he rose up that night and took his 2 wives.
His one wife.
His 2 wives.
His 2 wives, right? Go ahead.
And his 2 women servants.
He had 2 women servants. Right? It's like that's all I want. Again, that's one of the points. This is the Genesis. Everybody wanted to just use Adam. Adam is most definitely, the beginning of, again, the first man and woman made after the image of the Most High God.
Right.
But that doesn't mean, well, there you go. God made a law right there. Adam, it was no law established right there with Adam and Eve. But you see that every man right here is having 2 wives. Every man is dealing with more than one woman. Right? Which brings me to the next question. I was watching a brother video, forgot who it was, but it had me dying. But he was asking the sister. Actually, it was Captain Yathazak. That's what it was. Captain Yathazak did an interview, like a street interview with a sister. He was asking them, right? It was 2 sisters actually. He was asking them about, anything in the Bible, would you do it? And he was like, yeah, I believe in the Bible. I believe everything in the Bible. I love God, right? And they were standing 10 toes down. They was like, yeah, this is me. I love God. He was like, well, in the Bible it says a man can have 2 wives. Now I don't believe that. What do you mean you don't believe that? I believe in God, but I don't believe a man can have 2 wives. That's like saying in math, I know 2 + 2 = 4, but I'm gonna say the answer is 5 because it's 5. Like that's not even logical. Right. Women say a lot of things they contradict themselves all in the same statement. I'm for God. Man can have 2 wives. Not that for God. I'm not that down for God.
Right.
We talking about the same. They go and do like an audible almost. Are they talking about the same guy? Girls, I need to see a scripture. But
right.
His sister was like adamant. She was like, yeah, I believe in God. Her friend was like, yeah, I believe in God. But I don't do that. Because you have to understand that even the women have been groomed and conditioned to be that way. What do you mean? What do I mean? For boys, what toys they have for boys? We go around, we get cars, we get bikes, we get trucks, we get all these things, right? And the only toy they worry about making for girls are dolls. Now, granted, there's tons of other toys, but the one they really focus on are dolls. And girls get very possessive with those dolls to the point where they say, "This is my Barbie," or "This is my Ken. I'm not sharing my toys or my Barbies with anyone else."
Right.
Now you fast forward. I'm not sharing my man. I'm not sharing my husband.
Right.
Because of the spirit of them, they have to fight. It's the spirit of the world.
Right.
They talking about monogamy, but you ask her, "Hey, sis, how many men have you been with?" Well, I've been with 5. Well, then you don't believe in monogamy. You can't believe in monogamy because the first person you would have got with would have been the last person you would have been with for the rest of your life.
Right.
You don't believe in monogamy. You just believe in the idea they sold you. Now we're gonna deal with righteous and unrighteous. I'm gonna tell you right there, that's unrighteous for sisters to move around like that. But you don't know. But they don't tell you, right? But at the same time, this Bible's been sitting here. You can edify yourself. But women have been conditioned to be very possessive of things.
Right.
Even those things that don't belong to them.
Right.
Because the man doesn't belong to a woman, but the woman belongs to the man.
Right.
Right? So, like it. Give me Deuteronomy chapter 21, verse 15, because we're going to keep going a little bit in the Old Testament, because I like to beat the dead horse. I like to drive a point home, because we see time and time again. It's another little podcast. Brothers asking the sister, what makes you special? And she talking about, look what my body, look this, that, and the third. Talking about how she looked and how her hair was done. Then you ask the sister her body count, and she tell you some 21, 55. So you supposed to be every person that had an opportunity with you, and somehow you still hold some high value. To the point that you can look down on the man that comes and presents himself and say, "Hey, I want to deal with you." You know my value. You don't have any value. That's what the Bible says. You don't have any value.
Right.
None. Tell me which was more beneficial to you. A lock that opens to every key, or a key that can unlock every lock. I wouldn't want to lock anything up if the lock can open to every key that showed up.
Right.
But if I had a key that can unlock every lock, well, you understand which one's more valuable.
Right.
Right. So let's stop playing games. But women have this, again, this complex, this God complex. What was that Ariana Grande? She had a song, God is a woman. It was a whole verse she was singing. God is a woman. Then you have Beyonce. Here come the girls. Who rule the world? Girl. Yeah, who run the world? All this is psychological propaganda to get your woman to act outside the spirit of what her natural being.
Right.
Of how she's supposed to be. She's supposed to be humble, timid, right? Unto her husband. But yet she's out here talking about me. Oh, unless you forgot me. She's only worried about, all these women are worried about themselves. And these ones are definitely want a monogamous relationship.
Right.
Because instead of how they wanted to, how you say, deflect. Yeah, as soon as you say, what do you bring to the table? Look at me.
Right.
That's a deflection. That means you ain't got nothing to bring to the table.
Right.
And then turn around and say, my man got to make 6 figures to even talk to me, to even look a man got to make 6 figures. And then you turn around and ask her where she work or what she made. She don't work. She work at Burger King or something. I'm an OnlyFans girl.
Right.
You don't have a real job, but you want your man to make 6 figures just to look your way.
Right.
Man, these women are crazy, man. But Salaki, read what you got for me.
Salaki, so that was Deuteronomy 21.
21 to 15.
Come on. Deuteronomy chapter 21, verse 15. If a man have 2 wives, one beloved and the other hated, and they have borne him children, both the beloved and hated, if the firstborn son be hers that was hated, verse 16, then it shall be when he maketh his sons to inherit that which he hath,
right,
that he may not make the son of the beloved firstborn before the son of the hated, which is indeed the firstborn.
Right there. So see, what we're saying again is 2 wives, right? 2 wives. You're not seeing one. Abraham, he had 2 wives, right? Hagar and Sarah. Our brother Isaac. Well, Isaac had just Rebecca. But Israel, we understand Israel, he had he had both his wives, then his wives' servants. Is how we got the 12 tribes. You get what I'm saying? Like, when it comes to our history and who we are, we've always had more than one rib.
Right.
And this is the other thing, like I said, women contradict themselves all the time in the same sentence. We need to get back into our culture. We gotta step back into doing what do you call it? They get mad, they call it cultural appropriation,
right.
Right? They get upset about these things and willing to stand up and make posts and all this other stuff. But I don't see any women stand up and, well, I can't say I don't see any women. I have seen some women come out here and talk about men can have, it's biblical. Men can have multiple wives. Why women out here running rampant talking about monogamy, and they themselves don't practice it. But again, from the concept of stepping back into our culture, back into who we are. Right. A lot of our people start grabbing onto like the commit, the conscious community, all these different things that still it's not our culture.
Right.
They're just stepping into another, because what the world has done is they say that all black people are the same. They do it based on melanin. But even in the Zondervan Bible Dictionary, it lets you know that Ham is progenitor of all the black races except the Negro.
Right.
So what does that mean? Just because you're melanated doesn't mean we're all of the same nation. Ham is progenitor of all the dark races except the Negroes. Why? Because that's sham. Because we come up under Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, right. Our forefathers. If you're going to step back into the culture, it makes sense to come into this school learn who you are because your culture has been taken from you. Right? You want to talk about cultural appropriation, wearing your fro. I want to empower black people. You can't empower somebody while you steadily trying to lord over them in the same sentence.
Right.
I wanted to embrace our culture, where our culture was multiple wives.
Right.
But that's the last thing you want to embrace as a independent black woman. You feel like that makes you less than. Well, I want to grab onto all of our culture except multiple wives.
Right.
That's like the man saying, I want to grab onto all our culture except black women.
Right.
And then, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Seriously, that's what they do. You want to pick and choose what you want to appropriate, what you want to take up as culture. But if a black man did that, I'm gonna wear my mitri, I'm gonna wear my garments, I'm gonna do all this, but I'm not dealing with black women. I'm gonna go out here and grab me a Asian woman. I'm gonna go out here and grab me a woman of another nation.
Right.
It make a bunch of sisters sick. But that's exactly what they're doing. They're saying, I'm gonna grab all of our culture except multiple wives. And a lot of them, they'll say, I'm for black people, but then they have a white husband. Like that is
right.
It doesn't level out. It doesn't make sense. If you know what I'm saying, you can't be pro and then and do the opposite.
Right.
When I say pro, I'm not talking about at this point. I'm not talking about pro black, but pro the Bible, because that's our culture. Right. And God has given us guidelines on who we can deal with and who we can't deal with. But we gotta make it make sense. Because if we use, because the way logic works is if you use it here, it gotta be used across the board. It gotta make sense across the board. Women don't use their rationality, right? They don't use their rationality. Go ahead.
But something that I noticed is that they have so much of the mindset, like that Beyonce song. She says, "Since I can't be your everything, how about I'll be nothing?" So with that mindset, they have so much ingrained that they don't care about the honor or the rules, regulations, and guidelines that will come along with not being community, being out there to the community and just to any and everyone, but picking and choosing, you know what I'm saying, a woman that is virtuous and righteous.
Right.
So they don't care about the honor of the thing. They just, I honor and logic and all that. I don't give a damn.
Right. But Salaki, if you can get 1 Samuel chapter 1 verse 2 and just hold that for me, that's what I think. That's the last one. The Old Testament again touches on multiple wives. But as far as monogamy, you start to realize how it really doesn't exist. I'm trying to think of another word. I should I say not another word, but another. It's like certain words. You have to understand certain words are created with the intent of causing harm. If that makes sense. Like before there was monogamy, nobody talked about monogamy.
Right.
It was just a natural process of selection, right? Hey, I like you, I want you, whatever the conversation was. It was just a process of a selection. Now it's like rules and guidelines. Hey man, you can't talk to her, right? That's being covetous. What people don't realize, that's wickedness. When I say wickedness, those men that they be like, hey Sarah, I saw Jimmy talking to Tina too, and the only reason he's telling Sarah is because he's covetous. He wants Sarah.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so Sarah, being in this world, she's like, how could he do that? He's cheating on me. Well, you're not going to find cheating in the Bible. You don't find the word cheating in the Bible. We're going to touch bases on what you do find in the Bible, but you'll never find a man cheating on a woman. The man there's no word that says, and if a man cheats on a woman, you don't see that in the Bible.
Right.
Right? It's like, read what you got for me.
Con. 1 Samuel chapter 1, verse 2. And he had 2 wives, and the name of the one was Hannah, and the name of the other was Peninnah. And Peninnah had children, but Hannah had no children.
Right. Just again. So there's multiple wives in the Old Testament. Now they'll say there is no right. So like before we do that, let's go ahead and touch on this real quick. Let me see. I think it's Exodus 20 and 14. Let me know if there's one where it talks about adultery. That's what I'm trying to get on right real quick, because I want to show that the only thing the Bible talks about that's frowned upon, that's unrighteous, that's a sin, is adultery. Is that it?
Come on, Exodus 20 and 14.
Read that for me.
Come on. Exodus chapter 20, verse 14. Thou shalt not commit adultery.
Thou shalt not commit adultery. Does it say anywhere that the man has cheated? See, the idea, again, words are created to lord, or saying over somebody. I don't want to say lord, but it's like the whole point of it being created is to hold somebody down or to be harmful to somebody.
Right.
Monogamy. You're cheating. The scriptures don't mention cheating. Scriptures don't mention monogamy. Just like the scriptures don't actually say polygamy.
Right.
These were words that were created to create a good and a bad.
Right.
Right? Evil versus good. They say monogamy is good. Polygamy is bad. Because they couldn't use the Bible, so they create words outside the book.
Right.
To paint this kind of to give it a positive connotation or negative connotation, right?
Right.
You gotta
Go
ahead.
We've been put through such behavioral conditioning as a people and so much grooming as a people that is ridiculous. All the tactics and mind games that was played and that's still constantly played to go against what God says is just baffling how much it is. It's so many different categories. It's just crazy because the behavior condition that they put on our women is to have the mindset of being excited or invited to be jealous and envious.
Right.
And, be in a different mindset.
True. Man, there's another thing that it was I want to say it was statistically, not don't put me on this, but it was saying like a lot of in today's time, a lot of our women stop progressing after the age of 14. Like even though they grow up into women, their mind, their mentality, they're that of a 14-year-old.
Right.
Very emotional, very impulsive decision making, not willing to actually listen to her husband. Everything has to be a debate or deliberated or back and forth.
Right.
And this is the thing, and I'm not gonna get too far off on this because we're talking about monogamy, but it's just, again, it just shows how women, their whole behavior is kind of very contradictory to themselves. A woman will say, I don't have to honor my husband. I don't have to say, yes, sir. I don't have to move a certain way with my husband, right? But then she'll turn around unto her children and say, when I say do this, you need to do it the first time. And if they don't do it the first time, you understand the repercussions in whoopings. But logically and mentally, she doesn't see where she needs to be doing the same thing.
Right.
Why is that? Because she either sees herself as an equal unto her husband, or she thinks of herself higher than her husband.
Right. And
she may not say it, but her actions, right? Because if she's unto him, then everything that he say, she understands that this I will do, no different than when the Most High God said this, that, and, he gave us law. And guess what we say as a nation of people? All the things you say, we will do, right?
Right.
We have to move within the guidelines that was given to us by the Most High God. God doesn't care about what the world does or what the world got going on. This is where we're losing as a people. We still looking out the window what the other people are doing. See, look, Timmy can do it. See, look at Jill. She's able to do it. How come I can't do it?
Right.
And that's how we move as a nation of people. Salakia, real quick. Give me Leviticus 20 and 10, and then we're gonna hop to this other one. I just want to prove how that the scriptures declare that we move like that as a nation of people, that we're very treacherous. We're still focused on what the other nations got going on versus focusing on what our Father has told us to do. It's no different than us being kids in our own house. Did our Father care about what everybody else was doing outside? All he cared about is that you did what he told you to do. He says he'll tell you. You are the one I'm dealing with. You are the one I'm raising. I don't care about Johnny and Billy and Tom down the street. I set rules and guidelines in this house that you need to keep inside this house and outside the house. Right. Now let's take that back and let's listen to what the Most High God says. He says, this law I give you will be your wisdom. You will keep it in all your dwellings. So you'll keep it here, and wherever you go, you shall keep these statutes, that the world will know that you are my people.
Right.
It's no different. That's why when you leave the house, hey, aren't you Billy's son? I should have known the way you carry yourself. Look at you, look just like your dad. Right? Your mannerisms, the way you move, you replicate that of what you've been taught. It's no different when the nations, once upon a time when the nations used to look at us, they could tell that we were a nation after the Most High God. Look at that nation. They feared us. Ain't no fear no more wives. We out here trying to be like everybody else. They feel comfortable. Look, they trying to be like us.
Right.
Mr. Lucky, read what you got for me. Because this is going to go deeper. And again, let's see if the Bible says if a man can cheat. Salaki, I know we'll get off a little bit, but read that for me.
Come on. Leviticus chapter 20, verse 10. And the man that committed adultery with another man's wife.
How does a man commit adultery?
With another man's wife.
No, so a man can't commit adultery if he goes gets another woman. He only commits adultery when he goes unto another man's wife.
Right.
Why? Because that transgresses the law. Because in Exodus, chapter 20, when it's going through the things we can do, the first thing, not the first thing, but one of the things he says is you cannot covet your neighbor's things, his wife, his children, his ox, his dogs, whatever is your neighbor's, you can't covet it. You can't go. So when a man lays with another man's wife, guess what he's doing? He's breaking that law. Not only is he committing adultery, but he's breaking the law that says you're not supposed to covet another man's property,
right.
Things, right? That's where sin, unrighteousness, not cheating, but unrighteousness. Go ahead, continue reading.
Leviticus chapter 20, verse 10 continued. With another man's wife, even he that committed adultery with his neighbor's wife, and the adulterer and the adulteress shall surely be put to death.
Right there, they should be put to death. Now, if it was the Most High God, we're in a place of grace, and let's say grace, we can be forgiven, but we have to understand this, because this is one thing that the world doesn't practice. They still don't. Nobody practices. When I say nobody, really practices to this day, which is this. This is what it means to be for righteous men to actually step up and be righteous. Is this? If a bunch of righteous men stand up and do the things that pleases the Most High God, when a woman leaves her husband, instead of being like a pack of wolves waiting for her to leave her husband, hey sis, so you left your husband. Hey, let me holler at you. You had to be holler. That no man deals with that woman, right?
Right.
If no man deals with that woman, guess what she's forced to do? She's forced to do what the scriptures tell her to do, which is to reconcile unto her own husband.
Right.
If no man's willing to deal with her, like the scriptures declare, right? I ain't talking to her. I ain't looking her way. And man, she on her own.
Right.
That sister gonna have. Guess what? She's gonna have some time on her hands.
Right.
She's gonna have some time to think about her behavior. She's gonna have some time to think about. She's gonna have some self-reflection going on. Right? Definitely, she want that man to take her back. And the scriptures say it. If a woman separates from her husband, let her reconcile. Right? It's better for her to reconcile unto her husband. But it says, but if she do, right? If she does lay with another man, don't go back into her husband. That's wickedness. Now, first of all, it is wickedness that she leaving. That's adultery. You know what I'm saying? But she better not go back and be trapped with her husband after that.
Right.
That's definitely wickedness. It talks about polluting the whole nation if you do something wicked like that.
Right.
But if you can give me Romans 6:23, because again, I just want to touch bases on what it looks like to be righteous and unrighteous. So the world like to create terms outside the Bible because it's easy for them to manipulate the terms, right? It's easy for them to manipulate the people and who they teach these terms, right?
Right.
You won't find monogamy and polygamy in the Bible because it wasn't a thing. It was just a natural process of selection, and that you don't deal with another man's property. You don't deal with his property. You don't deal with his wife. You don't deal with nothing that's his, unless you go to the proper chain, which is guess what? Him, right? That's why anytime you saw a servant went out and did what? went into the husband. He went into the father. He went and found a wife like that. He went out here hitting the block and hitting the street.
Right.
But Salakia, kids, man, give me some time. Get me off track a little bit. But make a long story short, it's all about being righteous and unrighteous. There's no such thing as good and evil. It is good and evil, but what I'm saying is when it comes to making it into the kingdom, good and bad, right? Because what may be good to another person is bad to another person. Right? We're dealing with righteousness and unrighteousness, which are actual standards that you can measure, right? It's like, go ahead and read what you got for me.
Romans chapter 6, verse 23. For the wages of sin is death.
For the wages of sin is what?
Death.
The wages of sin is death, right? So again, when a man lays with another man's wife, that's sin. And those wages, the wages of that is death, right? Nowhere does it say anything about a man cheating. Now, the next thing, again, in this monogamous world and the monogamy of women and women's thought process, they always have this women's intuition. Women's intuition, but what you'll never see again, this women's intuition is something that somebody else created. It's just women's intuition is just women being nosy, women going through your phone. That's not intuition. That's you going in the places you shouldn't be. How's that intuition? But I'm gonna tell you what God said. There is indeed an intuition, but it's not given unto the woman. It's a lot, real quick. You give me Numbers chapter 5, and you start in verse 12 for me. Because this is where intuition really came from. I say came from. God gives the intuition to somebody, and it's the man. So for the women saying, "Oh, he's just acting up," I don't know why. You know exactly why he's acting up. You know exactly why he ready to try. He trying to go upside your head. You just trying to play what I call the passive aggressive Christian thing, where I don't know why he's trying to do this. I didn't do anything. But yeah, you're out here meeting Tommy and Steven and the gang on the side, and this for the streets, right? But this is a monogamous world. Where we talk about monogamy, but these women out here playing stepping stones with men.
Right.
And then, you know what I'm saying? It's causing a lot of issues for our nation because they're moving unrighteously and causing jealousy among the men, which brings turmoil into our community, right?
Right.
Go ahead and read what you got for me.
Numbers chapter 5, verse 12. Speak unto the children of Israel and say unto them, if any man's wife go aside and commit a trespass against him.
If any man's wife do what?
Go aside and commit a trespass against him.
When a man's wife goes aside and she commits a trespass, when she out here moving funny, when she out here doing things, what do you call them, work husbands and stuff like that, I just talk to him. It's just an emotional conversation. I just have an emotional attachment to him. I just can't stop texting him. Man, these sisters get away. They do get away with murder.
Right.
Right. To be honest, they get away with that's wickedness.
Right.
But they'll do this, and then cry wolf. It's not me. I'm innocent. The Bible doesn't say you're innocent, woman. You're not innocent at all in your action. But go ahead and continue reading. Let's see what the Most High God does when a woman does this. When she goes aside and starts committing trespasses against her husband. Go ahead and continue reading.
Numbers chapter 5, verse 13. And a man lie with her carnally, it be hid from the eyes of her husband, and be kept close, and she be defiled, and there be no witness against her, neither she be taken with the manner.
Right there, Paul. So she out here moving fuddy-duddy, and it ain't no witnesses. Y'all understand how it be in the world. When I say in the world, the way you condemn somebody, when I say condemn somebody, the scriptures declare that you have to have two witnesses. You can't go by the mouth of one witness. Which is why, again, in the New Testament, when the scribes and Pharisees try to bring that woman saying she committed adultery, right? You had to have two witnesses. And it's like, who caught her? Who was watching her perform these acts? They caught her in the midst of doing the act, right? So you get what I'm saying? Like they was trying to catch him up. But at the end of the day, you had to have two or more witnesses to actually convict somebody of a sin. So now it's letting you know that she didn't found her a sneaky link. Nobody knows about it. It's kept closed, right? But she know, the man know, but her husband don't know, right? Let's see what the Most High God does. Go ahead and continue reading.
Come on, come. Numbers chapter 5, verse 14. And the spirit of jealousy come upon him, and he be jealous of his wife.
Right there. And the spirit of jealousy comes upon him, and he be jealous of his wife. There goes man's intuition. So when women out here, I don't know why he acting jealous, girl. I don't know why because he know. The Lord has put that spirit on him to move that way.
Right.
Because guess what? Guess what the man doesn't do? The man doesn't go through a woman's phone. The man don't go out here policing and doing all that other stuff. But I bet he will if the spirit of jealousy come upon him. He checking your Facebook, he in your Twitter. He trying to figure out why am I so uneasy? What is it that causing my spirit to be restless? Why am I ain't never been, this word, but for some reason something's going on right now in this moment that this woman's on the forefront of my cerebellum. I'm out here trying to provide and do this, that, and third.
Right.
But for some reason she on the top of my head, and the way I'm feeling, I ain't feeling too good. You see what I'm saying? The spirit of jealousy is being put upon him. There ain't no woman's intuition. But the Lord puts the intuition on the man. The woman's moving funny, which is why sometimes these men going into these women's houses, right? And the man come home, he was never planning to go to work. It's just something was on him, that intuition.
Right.
And he had to check it out. So he pretends to go to work, hits the block, comes back, and there goes dear Johnny. Right? The spirit of jealousy is the Most High God puts on the man. There is no woman's intuition in this monogamous. I put in the quotation, but it's not really monogamous. This monogamous world, right? Go ahead, continue reading.
Come on, come. Numbers chapter 5, verse 14 continued. Salaki, and she be defiled, or if the spirit of jealousy come upon him, and he be jealous of his wife, and she be not defiled. Verse 15. Then the man shall bring his wife unto the priest, and he shall bring her offering up for her, the 10th part of the ephah of barley meal, and he shall pour an oil upon it.
No oil.
No oil upon it, nor put frankincense thereon, for it is an offering of jealousy and an offering of memorial, bringing iniquity to remembrance.
Pause right there. So again, I just want to touch bases on that. So when we talk about cheating and adultery and this, that, and that, it's no woman's intuition. Again, a lot of things that women hold on to and want to grasp and make a reality, you have to understand that reality that you grasping on has been created by a man. And so that's why the scriptures declare it all the time. Either you're going to be for me or against me. You can't be in the middle. You can't say, well, I believe man's word, monogamy and polygamy, but then, God's word, I believe in God, but just not that part about who I. Right? Because as us stepping back into our culture, we have to be able to cast out these demons or these spirits, right, of the world. We have to be able to first identify them. A lot of women don't want to identify with that spirit. When I mean that spirit, a spirit of jealousy, a spirit of, I say not, the woman don't have, you know what I'm saying? She has a spirit. When I say spirit, the spirit that the world is giving her. See, a lot of times you have to understand with the information you've been given, you can only act on the information you've been given, right? There's one thing my father used to always say. If I pour orange juice into a glass, I can't expect to get milk out of it. If I pour grape juice into a glass, I can't expect to get, watermelon juice or watermelon, what they call it, watermelon juice. I'm going to say watermelon juice, right? So with the information that the world is giving our people, we can't expect to do anything but sin against our God. Which is why the scriptures declare, my people are destroyed due to the lack of knowledge. Lack of knowledge of what? His will. We're too busy doing the will of the world.
Right.
Holding on to terms and etymologies of words that don't stem from here. They stem from a man-made words. So then man can create and fabricate the world that the reality he wants you to live in. By giving some words negative connotations, some words positive connotations. We've seen it in our community, right? White is right. Black is bad, right?
Right.
Positive connotation, negative connotation. You go into a store, I used to work in a store, right? And as a they call it LP, loss prevention, but pretty much like security. And the term for somebody feeling was cold black. It wasn't cold white, right? There's no negative connotation, but cold black, oh, everybody know, hey, heads in the swivel, everybody looking. And 9 times out of 10, I kid you not, a lot of stores profile African American people. Right. We all know this, but when you work at an establishment, that's what they want you to look at. It can be, you can see other people. I'm not gonna get the race name in and all that, but it'd be mostly they people. Let's put it like that. They'd be out there stealing, but there'll be a group of colored people come in, and they'll come over the radio. Hey, keep an eye on the 5 teenagers just came into the store. Well, they just walked through the door. What makes them look suspicious? But you get what I'm saying? Again, words are created, and each one of them have a weight and power, and they dictate your reality. Because nobody wants to be what? The bad guy. But somebody has to be the bad guy. Right. And the bad guy is the person who taught you that you were bad. The one who gave you this monogamy, polygamy, so he can create the monogamy is good. Polygamy, it's bad. Well, the man can have whatever he wants. The Lord says, whatever you ask, I shall give. So what woman thinks that her power and her belief supersedes that of the Most High God? If God says, ask and I'll give to the man, if a man wants to have more than one wife, then who is the woman to say he can't have more than one wife? See, women don't understand that that's what they're doing. They stepping in a place that's not within they give him power. They don't have that power. They don't have that say. But the world is giving them that idea that they can do that. If you can't have me and her, you have to choose. All right? Come on, man. We gotta wake up, Israel. We have to wake up. Now, to get back to the part where I was talking about how the Most High God has talked about us as a nation of people, that we move the same way that women in this world move, which is very treacherously, right? We move against the Most High God. We've been given such a magnificent standard, but we always looking out, right? Right. It's been similes and metaphors have been given that he's the groom, he's the man, he's the person with the church. He's the groom. We're supposed to marry him. We should be focused on serving our husband, right? As a nation. That's who you should be focused on, the Most High God. Right. But when I say you, we as a nation of people playing the harlot, we focus on, well, look at how Cheryl's getting treated, and look at how this nation's doing, and look at this other nation. And in doing so, we played the harlot. We went out here just like the little treacherous women in the world, very emotional, looking at the glamorous and shimmery. I don't know what we as a nation was focused on, but we weren't focused on the Most High God. Right. We weren't focused on serving our husband, right? If you think about the way the scriptures declare, a woman supposed to be unto her husband. So if the Most High God says Judah and Israel, sisters, right? Similarly for metaphor as women, and Christ being the groom, right? We should be focused on serving the Most High God. Right. No other man, right, should be catching our eye. But we out here looking out the window. Look, Bob shut the door for Cheryl. Look at Tommy. He bought Tina 2 rings. Right. And we want to have everything the other nations have. After the Most High God told us in the very beginning that everything the other nations do is an abomination. And I hate it. Well, I want to have rings. I want to put a ring on it. You know what I'm saying? We want to keep the customs of every other nation. Right. We want to put dreads in our head.
Right.
We want to do things that I can't think of, but shrimp fried rice.
Right.
Eat crab legs and bottom feeders. We want to smoke the weed. We want to do all these things. That's outside the ramifications which has been given to us as a nation of people.
Right.
Give me Jeremiah 3:20 real quick.
Come on.
We gotta make it make sense, bro. We gotta make it make sense, right? I had to get there real quick. But yeah, we gotta make it make sense. We out here fighting the war and don't even understand the first step.
Right.
And women, I say a key part, they don't play a key part, but you have to understand as a man, right? Because this is the thing that becomes an issue. Men pleasers, right?
Right.
I had spoke briefly on this last time. The pastors in the church are men pleasers. They preach unto these women, right? To what? To gain a stronger following. Because if you feel a church with a bunch of women, the men gonna come. Then you see some Israelite groups that still do that. They hold back the judgment of the Most High God. They don't fully vet the woman's spirit because the woman out here thinking they're still teaching unto the woman, they're pleasing her, right? But they themselves are breaking the law. What I mean by that, I'm gonna say it. It was some camp speaking, and I don't know if you've been taken down, but I.U.I.C. right down the street, sister with a brother. It wasn't like the sister with a heathen, and I still with him, but sisters with a brother. The brother was like, "No, I don't want to hear that, sister. Your man don't want to be in the truth. Leave him and come get with a priest." Like what?
Right.
Come on, man. And because they teach because the school still teaches some level of monogamy, right? When I say the school, that school teaches monogamy. It's been sisters who've been unalive because the men are afraid and shame-faced for dealing with more than one woman.
Right.
That they make these impulse decisions. I don't want to get caught having multiple wives.
Right.
Brother, who said it's against the law to have multiple wives? Why you out here? You acting shame-faced because you still believe in the things the world has taught you.
Right.
And because you have a group of people who hold back the judgment of the Most High God and rather make a man feel shameful for one more than one wife, right? Instead of making a woman feel shameful for denying a man, for stepping in the place that's not her place to step into, and provoke the sister unto good works, and have the sister actually step into the spirit she's supposed to have, which is this spirit. Whatever my husband wants, I want it for him. Whatever my husband desires, I desire it for him. Not only do I desire it for him, but I'm gonna help him get it.
Right.
What you want? You want the PS5? I'm gonna go get it. What you want? You want that Lambo? I'm gonna help you go get it. Right? Now I'm getting a little crazy with the request, but y'all get what I'm saying. The woman is supposed to be her desires unto her husband, whatever he wants. Man, I wish somebody could scratch my back. Right? But the women of today are so entitled and want a husband that they'll have a whole husband and then not want to do nothing for him.
Right.
But wait him to bend over backwards and put a ring on it, and I am the gift. I am what I bring to the table.
Right.
Man, if I still gotta scratch my back and still gotta wake up and make my cereal, then why am I marrying you?
Right.
I don't believe in what they call them trophy wives. I got a wife, so I can say, "Hey, look at my wife."
Right.
Like really?
Salakia, sir.
Go ahead.
If I may, they got this thing on social media and on the internet for a long time where they talk about dating or it's this thing called red pill, and also it's another thing called Save Yourself Black Men, where they've been telling black men that they should leave black women alone, period, because of the whole thing back in the day when Master would pull up and mess with someone's wife or rib and whatever, and then send them back to that man and all of those things. And with all of the things that we deal with as a people, they've been trying to condition us and gear us more towards being in that spirit, and then also, of course, with our women being in the spirit of jealousy like that, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And wanting to, do all the extra and do the most and take you to court and everything else. They've been putting it out there real tough. It's a real heavy, deep behavioral conditioning.
Right. But so like if you read Jeremiah 3:20 for me.
Oh, come on. Jeremiah chapter 3, verse 20. Surely, as a wife treacherously depart from her husband, so have ye dealt treacherously with me, O Israel.
Pause right there. So the Most High God said, just like the wives of treacherously left their husbands. When a wife leaves her husband, that's treacherous.
Right.
That's like treason. Hey, man, you messing all the way up, right? But just like a wife leaves her husband, so has the nation of Israel left the Most High God, right? That's why, again, you should come into the school, right? If you're trying to learn so-called black man, Hispanic man, Native American man, we're here trying to provoke our people into good works. We're trying to bring our people back into the culture that we lost and are being deprived of. Y'all do understand when somebody purposely deprives you of your culture and who you are, that is indeed a hate crime. But the world doesn't want to address it like that. When they teach us backwards history, this man-made history, their version of history, all that is psychological propaganda, and it's a form of warfare. But TikTok doesn't have guidelines to stop misinformation about you, so-called black man, Hispanic man, Native American man. TikTok doesn't have guidelines to protect you and your culture and who you are. TikTok doesn't have any guidelines to protect you from being, character defamation and stuff like that. They only protect those, you get what I'm saying, and whom it's beneficial for them to protect. The guidelines are only benefited, just no different than the laws and how this world, they're here to benefit a group of people. And you have to realize that group of people will never be you. Right?
Right.
Even now, right? I have some things I got going on that I'm trying to hold a company accountable for. And I'm telling you right now, even though I should be, doing a whole lot better, the world is not geared towards benefiting or helping me. But they will benefit and help others, if that makes sense. I'm not going to get into it this time, but I'll probably hit the next class. Just in regards to just, again, how the world does us. If you're a certain group of people, if defamation or certain things come about, you're looking at almost $1 million lawsuit. But if you're a Black, Hispanic, Native American person and you go to do the same thing, you're looking at a $500 to $1,000 lawsuit. They're going to minimize your hurt. They're going to downplay your hurt. You can't be that hurt.
Right.
Yeah, this did 400 years of slavery. How much more hurt could you be? But if it's somebody else who's been pampered and well thought of, and I can't wear my beard. $1.2 million because of who you are.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We have to understand that we are hated people. And the only way we're going to prosper, I say prosper, is by being obedient to the Most High God. And Zephaniah 2 and 1 gets his Salakia. Zephaniah 2 and 1 says, gather thyself together, O nation not desired. But Salakia, you don't have to jump there. You don't have to jump there because didn't I have you still reading the treacherous thing, right? Go ahead and finish that real quick, and then we're gonna jump to another verse. I'll get you. Go ahead.
Come. Jeremiah chapter 3, verse 20 continued. And Salakia.
Go ahead. So
have ye dealt treacherously with me, O house of Israel, saith the Lord. Verse 21. A voice was heard upon the high places, weeping and supplication of the children of Israel, for they have perverted their way, and they have forgotten the Lord their God. Verse 22. Return ye backsliding children, and I will heal your backslidings. Behold, we have come unto thee, for thou art the Lord our God.
Okay, I was like that. So again, it's our duty to come back to the Most High God and do what's pleasing to Him. And women have to do what's pleasing to the Most High God. And the way you do that is by being unto your husband. No husbands, no man has ever come to the house and say, "I am the table." See, that's what I'm saying. So like women, they want to argue that they're the table, but if you ever look at a man's never gone to a woman and says, "I am the table," right? That doesn't happen in our world and how we do things. Again, because women feel entitled and they want to, how you say, boost their value because they want to feel more valued, I guess, in the man, or seem more valuable to the man. But the scripture declares the only way you can be valuable to the man is you have to be useful. And women don't want to be useful because as soon as a woman feels she has to be useful, she feels like she's a slave unto her husband. It's crazy that a woman can get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to be at a job at 6 o'clock and say yes, sir, and do anything her boss, requests of her and have no issue.
Right.
Coming home and the husband says, "I'm hungry." You got 2 hands, you got 2 feet.
Right.
That's entitlement. So now the man has to make it. What are you there for? When the scriptures declare that your wife should be unuseful to her husband, a helpmeet to her husband. She's supposed to be there for her husband, not there for herself. So it only makes sense for a wife to do that. That's pleasing to her husband. I'm gonna touch bases on something else. I should have had it, but it's not really a parable. It's a whole story, but I love the story. It's in the book of Esther, right? And it hit so hard because it shows the power of allowing women's behavior to go unchecked and how severe it can be for an entire nation. For an entire nation, if a woman's behavior goes unchecked, it goes corrected. So pretty much what happened, it was a king, right? He has his own chamber, and his wife, she has her own chamber, and whenever he beckons for her, it's her duty to come to him, right? When he beckons, hey, go get my wife. We're having a good time. I want her to come out and enjoy some time with me, right? Whatever the case may be. Pretty much the king at that time in the story of Esther, he had requested his wife to come. She declined. She refused, right? So guess what all the princes and all the nobles and all the king's men said? Hey, king, you can't let that ride. You can't let that go down like that, because if you let her ride like that, then what do you think our women's gonna do? If they see that the queen herself, you the king of this whole nation, and your wife said, "Nah, I'm good. You can go get it yourself. You got 2 hands, 2 feet." Now, of course, I'm adding that in there, but that's equivalent to what she said. She said, "No, go do it yourself." "No, I'm not coming. I'm straight." And all the princes said, "Yo, if you let that ride, our women gonna begin to start doing some crazy stuff like this." So the king made what she did bad. He put her away. Hey, man, we're not gonna ride like that. And this king, boom, you done. And then he had a whole thing where he was trying to pick a new wife, a new bride. Of course, Esther being found, greater among the other women. Why? Because the magnificent standard the Most High God has given us. Our women are always going to move and be better only when they keep this magnificent standard.
Wow.
Because this is what sets them apart from other nations. But now the roles are switched. When I say the roles are switched, women of other nations, they say, "Yes, husband. I'll do husband." Right? The places that the Western, where I say America hasn't really tainted, those women still understand they're unto their husband. They're not to bring shame unto their father. They start to be moving a certain way that brings shame unto their father's name. Because like, God damn, your father let you talk to him like this. Your father let you run around here like this. Your father. It's a shameful thing for women to move a certain way. But the women right now in our culture doesn't understand that.
Right.
They don't understand that their actions unto their husbands are a direct reflection of how their father raised them. But we understand right now, in our community, a lot of women and men don't have fathers, because this world made sure that they took them away during some point. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And we've been struggling to bounce back and actually have a stable neighborhood, a stable family, because a black family is the most dangerous thing to America. A solid black family, you get me? But again, we can't move treacherously. We can't move contrary to the Most High God. We got to do those things that's pleasing to Him.
Right.
And monogamy and polygamy, you have to understand that was created by this world, and then given a positive or negative connotation. And again, everybody wants to be good, so guess what you're not going to do? If polygamy is being frowned upon, well, then I don't want to. It's not something I want to do.
Right.
Right. We've been forced in, how you say it, what's the word I'm looking for? Not character defamation, but you know what I'm saying? Like, you know how everything about you, let's say, you know how the Most High God said everything the other nations do is abomination, right? And it was frowned upon in our nation to do anything the other nations do.
Right.
It's like the other nations said, it's like the nations came together and said, no, whatever Israel does, we're going to frown upon it. Right. We're gonna make that. We're gonna put a negative connotation on that. April Fool's Day, right?
Right.
All these different things, these negative connotations they put on the things that we do. Polygamy, it's bad. It's frowned upon. T.I. making sure his daughter was still, a virgin, frowned upon. Oh, right. How dare he? But D Wade and who else is it? Is it not LeBron? It's just D Wade, right?
Come on.
And a few other people who have children that want to transition at a young age. There. Right. Woo, that's what it means to be a strong parent. You see what I'm saying? They commended this. They giving what they call positive redirection, positive reinforcement to this negative behavior.
Right.
But the good behavior, they're giving negative reinforcements. Why? Because they want that to be front. They don't want other people making sure their daughters is, doing right by the father. But they do want your kids. Well, it was recently. And again, I try not to get out too far, but it's just these things almost align sometimes. Right. But it was like in a sentence or something where they were trying to pass a law that allow young kids. These kids don't even know what they want to be when they grow up, but they can transition. And they, you know what I'm saying? And that's what it was. Making it to where parents don't have a say in their child's gender, the transition. Crazy. So even if the parents say, "No, I don't want to do that," they're trying to make it to where the parents don't have that capability, don't have that power to do so.
Yeah.
This is the world we live in, right? But we have to understand, monogamy doesn't exist. The only way monogamy would exist is if a woman can come out and say, "Hey, I've only been with one man my entire life, and I have known no other man." That'd be a monogamous relationship. If that woman left that man and got with anybody else, that's not monogamy. Right. That's just a woman usurping her authority over her man and then making her man feel bad and shamefaced for wanting or to even think about desiring another woman. Right. Salakia, give me 1 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 1, because I just want to show again that they say, oh, in the New Testament there weren't multiple wives. There were still multiple wives in the New Testament. Right? And this is how we come. I say this is how it's just common sense, it's logic, right? Read this for me, and then we're gonna break it down real quick.
So like it was 1 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 1.
1
Corinthians chapter 5, verse 1. It is reported commonly that there is fornication among you, and such fornication is not so much as named among the Gentiles, that one should have his father's wife.
That one should have his father's wife. He didn't say that you sleep with your mama. He said that you sleep with your father's wife. What does that mean? That means his father had 2 wives. One being his mother and the other one being his other, his father's other wife.
Right.
And men were out here dealing with them. Again, where do we see this stuff? All right? Where do we see this stuff? The other nations. I'm going to put it out there. The other nations. And how do they do this? Well, through the form of grown up adult film, put it like that, through adult films is another form of psychological warfare and propaganda because they paint a reality that's not a reality that you should be wanting to have ever. Ever. Right?
Right.
But because of this, our people again, we dive in and do wicked things, right? But Salakia, give me 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 11.
Come on, come. 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 11. But, and if she depart, let her remain unmarried or be reconciled to her husband.
Right there. That's the key thing. That's what I was talking about earlier. If a woman be separate, let her be reconciled unto her own husband, because that's the way the Most High God deemed it from the beginning. You have to understand that no prophet, no disciple was teaching against what the Most High God had established. He was only reiterating their oracles of old times, because we have forgot and we weren't keeping those things, right? We were doing the things that's pleasing, that's how you say it, convenient to the flesh.
Right.
Convenient. The everybody's doing it, so why not me?
Right.
Everybody's been with Tanya. Why can't I get with Tanya? Because you've been commanded not to do that, to move that way.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? And it's another story, and this is going to be in the Apocrypha, but we'll hit on it real quick because this is what we're trying to get to make sure doesn't happen. It was in the Susanna, right? The book of Susanna, and what it talks about is a woman named Susanna. She was unto her husband. Husband was known among the we'll say the tribe of not the nation, the city. He was known in the city. He was a real profitable man, a very wealthy man. Susanna, being his wife, was a righteous woman. She was unto her husband. But what happened was you had like a Pharisee. I say Pharisee was what's the actual term they use? Like a priest. That's what priest and another man there. And what it was is they both had started to covet. They had coveted spirit towards Susanna. Now Susanna didn't do anything wrong. Susanna was unto her husband. But what happened was the way the two men found out that they both had the same wicked spirit was Susanna. It was like like a grove, like trees or whatever, and she had like a bathtub, and she'd take a bath, and she had maids, and she went to go take a bath, and both men had left, but they came back, and that's when they had plotted with each other, saying, "Hey, why are you here? My spirit's so vexed. I love Susanna so much. Me too, me too." This whole Me Too shit, right? And we do it a lot of times in the club. We do it a lot of times with men. What I mean by that, in the world, we could say, when men be like, "Oh, look at Shawty. Oh, she get that Dunkin' dog. Yeah, man. Yeah. Man, I want that, right?" It's no different than what they were doing, right? We hyping each other up. We hyping each other up to step into do some wicked shit, right? Wicked stuff. And so what they did, they said, "Hey," because this is how serious it was about being righteous. Today, it's not that serious about being righteous. No one cares about being righteous. But they said, "Hey, let's both go into Susanna and let's force ourselves upon her." And when they got to Susanna, they said, "Susanna," because they forced themselves into her little area where she was at, right? And they said, "Hey, you gonna either have to lay with both of us, or we're gonna say we saw a young man in here. We're gonna lie and say we caught you. Because remember, you gotta have two witnesses. We caught you with another man, right?" That's what they was gonna do with her. And guess what she said? "I'd rather die." This is what righteousness look like. That's what we don't have. She says, "I'd rather die than to be in sin with both you men."
Right.
And they were upset. And of course they guards. And guess what? The Lord saved her. And both those men lost their lives that day, right?
Right.
But what I'm saying is we move like this. We have this thing that when a woman leaves her husband, we wait. And some men so desperate that they'll be what they call a friend zone. Right. And they be like, they playing devil's advocate. They know they want to get with her, but they ain't telling her because they want to they don't want her to be like to separate herself. Or that's why men don't like girls that have men friend, but women always want to why are you just jealous? You just, well, what man wants a woman to be with, to have men friends? Like, what are you gonna do when you hang with them?
Right.
But this dude be over here. He did that, girl. I could do you better. He did that, girl. You should leave him. Everything is about convincing you to do something that's not convenient. You know, it's convenient for the flesh, and eventually the woman will slip up because women make emotional decisions, and then she come back and she won't say nothing. Or either she will say something, but you know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
we got to stop living in that spirit, and we got to stop. You know, we got to let when these women step outside their husband, we got to hold them accountable. We can't deal with them like that. We got to let these sisters have a moment to themselves where they can reconcile into their husband.
Right.
If she receive any counsel, it should be that, sis. Thus said the Lord, you should reconcile it to your husband, not, sis, I'm sorry this happened to you, Salaki. I'm gonna help you, you know, through this process, and while you nurturing her, you really grooming her to fall for you.
Right.
Right. We got to do better, Israel. We got to do better, man. Most High God's looking for righteous men who will stand up and keep His words and do the things that's not convenient for the flesh. To stand 10 toes down for what He desires, right?
Right.
But again, there's no monogamy. It doesn't exist. When I say it doesn't exist in the Bible. Because a man can have whatever he desires to have. How do we know this? When David got with Bathsheba, the Lord said, David, man, you could have just asked.
Right.
You could have just asked for any woman you wanted, and I could have made that happen. I could have made that happen for you. So what is the Lord? What's the Most High God telling all the men in Israel? You don't have to settle for any woman. It's like you don't have to settle for any woman. You don't have to, you know, when I say settle, you know, women hear that, oh, so a man settling? Yeah. If you out here and you already been with a couple men, he's settling.
Right.
Because he should be desiring a woman, you get what I'm saying? That's unto her father. When I say unto her father, out here keeping the scriptures until the man come to her. And I say come to her father and request her hand. And the father gives that woman unto that man. But we shouldn't be out here being loose and doing things that's convenient to the flesh.
Right.
Because when we do that, we only setting everybody up for failure, right?
Right.
So like, was there any more in that?
So
1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 11. I think there was a little bit more I wanted to touch on because it's some things that get. Go ahead, you can read what you got.
Come on. 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 11. But if she depart, let her. But if she depart, let her remain unmarried, or be reconciled to her husband, and let not the husband put away his wife.
Go ahead, continue reading.
Verse 12. But to the rest I speak, not the Lord. If any brother have a wife that believeth not, and she be pleased to dwell with him, let him not put her away.
Right there. So it says, but if to the rest I speak, right? Speak I. Paul saying I'm speaking this, right? He says, not Yahweh, not the Lord, but if any brother hath a wife that believeth not, and she be pleased to dwell with him, let him not put her away. The key word is if a man has a wife, right? It's a husband and wife. That's the context we got to keep it in. Because a lot of people like to take this and be like, right there, that's what it means. Go ahead and continue reading from. We're going to get the whole thing.
Come on. 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 13. And the woman which hath an husband.
Pause right there. A woman who has a what?
Husband.
The key word right there is husband. Wife, husband. Go ahead, continue reading.
Come. 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 13 continued. Hath an husband that believeth not. If he be pleased to dwell with her, let her not leave him. Verse 14. For the unbelieving husband is sanctified by the wife, and the unbelieving wife is sanctified by the husband. Else were your children unclean, else were your children unclean, but now they are Salaki. Now are they holy? Verse 15. But if the unbelieving depart, Salaki, let him Salaki, let him depart. A brother or a sister is not under bondage in such case, but God hath called us to peace. Verse 16. For what knowest thou, O wife, whether thou shalt save thy husband, or how knowest thou, O man, whether thou shalt save thy wife?
Well, right there. So again, people say right there, unbelieving husband, unbelieving wife, they can be saved by their believing husband, believing wife. But what you have to understand is the true context in that is it said, don't put her away, right? And for the wife not to leave her husband,
Right.
which is what the Most High God said from the very foundation. Paul's not speaking against that. But a lot of people don't understand that. Because what you have to understand is the scriptures declare, if a man puts his wife away for any other occasion other than fornication, and another man lays with her, guess what? That he has just caused his wife to do what? Commit adultery. And in doing so, he just caused his brother to do what? Commit adultery. That man has become a stumbling block to his brother, which is what? A sin.
Right.
So now everybody's in sin because this man let his wife go. Right? Because she was unbelieving. Or for the wife who left her husband and let her husband leave because he was unbelieving.
Right.
Now she get with another man, guess what happens again? She's an adulterous woman because that was her husband. In this type of man and woman together, they're husband and wife. So if at any point the husband and wife leave for any other occasion other than fornication and another man gets with her, she commits adultery. Right. And all parties are in wickedness and sin. Because as a scripture, you're not supposed to be a stumbling block unto your brother. Read Romans 6:23 again for me. Because we have to understand what the wages of sin is. That's why it says, by what knowest thou, O wife, that by you keeping your husband, by you staying to your husband, you saved thy husband, you saved his life. And though husband, again, for the husband, for the wife, when you kept your wife, and by doing so, you saved her life. Why? Because the scriptures that declare that you ain't supposed to let her go for any other reason other than fornication. Right? But we take it and say, and read it in a different context. No, it's saying you can't leave your wife. It's no different than saying people saying the law. It says the law has been done away with. No, you can't. You can't not keep the law. The law has not been done away with. Nor can you leave your wife for any other reason other than fornication. Nor can she's not supposed to leave at all, because we read in Jeremiah 3:20 a woman who leaves her husband, that's treacherous.
Right. So
she can't up and leave her husband because that's being treacherous. You see how the Bible gives you negative connotation on things that are unrighteous and in wickedness. You got to deal with the way the Most High God wants us to deal, because again, we don't want to be in sin. We don't want to be a stumbling block, because a stumbling block is a sin. We cause our brother to stumble because of the things we got going on. We are in sin. We got to be held accountable for that. Go ahead and read what you got for me again.
So like that was Romans
6:23.
Romans chapter 6, verse 23. For the wages of sin is death, but the gift of God is eternal life.
The wages of sin is death. So with that being said, for all the women out there who thought it was cool to leave your man, it's time for you to reconcile him to your husband. For all the brothers that thought it was cool to put your wife away, if she hadn't been with another man, it's time for you to reconcile. When I say reconcile, to bring her back unto you, so that your brother don't be in sin, that you don't cause your brother to come out here and stumble because he didn't lay with some woman that you didn't lay with because you put her away because you thought it was cool. Right. To hit it and quit it. Right? Or what they call it, pass it to your friends. Stop doing all that dumb stuff, man.
Right.
As being a priest and prophet, I'm telling you, it's not profitable for your for your soul to do those things. It's not profitable for you to do those things because it's not profitable in the scriptures. So that's the decree. That's what the Most High God said. Even Christ said it. When they said, well, Moses gave us, Christ said, God never intended for it to be that. What the Most High God put together, let no man put asunder. No man's given the authority to divorce or put anybody back together. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, I'll divorce you. Oh yeah, you can marry the other man. You don't have that power or authority. You operate outside of your jurisdictions, like or your capacity.
Question.
Go ahead.
Salaki, so this question is from Taspa Salaki Tapasar Ban Yehuda. He said, Salakia, sir, are you saying if she leaves her husband as an unbeliever that the husband is responsible?
No, it's saying the wife is treacherous. That's what I'm saying. The wife is treacherous. If the wife leaves, it's a treacherous thing. Right?
Right.
But what I'm saying is that righteous men, if men are righteous, right? If the woman leaves her husband, she won't have anywhere to go. If men actually move righteously,
right,
which means there's no man in line to assume the husband role to this woman.
Right.
She will only be forced to reconcile to her husband. But because in the world that we've been groomed to live in, men actually wait for women to leave their husbands as an opportunity to say my turn.
Right.
And that's where the wickedness comes in, because now that woman and that man has committed adultery.
Right.
Right. Now that man, and she leaves, that's a treacherous thing, right? Because the only reason he's supposed to put her away is if she fornicate. Now,
right,
if she leaves, it can't be on that man.
Right.
What she's doing is treacherous in her actions, and you know what I'm saying? Which is why if you're in priest mode at all times, you understand when you ask a woman, hey, you got a man? She says, not right now. Well, you know, she's been with somebody.
Right.
Yeah. You got a husband? Nah. You been with a man? We understand. If we understand that sex is marriage as being a priest and prophet, right? If we understand that sex is marriage, then we understand we don't have that the window that we used to have when we were in the world. We would ask a woman, hey, are you lucky? We don't have that same window. We would ask a woman, hey, you got a man? And she say, no, let me holler at you then. So what it say, when you willfully sin after coming into the truth, after you come into the truth and knowledge, if you understand that sex is marriage, you know what I'm saying? We gotta move a different way. Right? So hopefully that answer your question. Salaki, is there any more?
Sir, no more questions. He asked another question, but it was answered. He said he understood after that.
Okay, Most High in Christ. Yeah, with that being said, that concludes my class. Let me go ahead and do these service announcements. Right. We are the I.S.U.K. started at 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Rule for new brother and sister. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be excluded only. They're here to shed themselves to the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to the brother or sister. There's another 6 months in which the brother and sister will court each other. After this 6 month period, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment. Numbers 18:21, Malachi 3:8-10. Ma'ashra, which means 10th in Hebrew. 10% of every penny of any increase Yahweh gives you, give to the treasury department or teacher. Priest fund, free will offering for priests, not mandatory, whatsoever amount you would like. The upcoming Holy Convocation, of course, will be the Feast of Hanukkah. For those in our zone, the location is to be determined, but that is the next Holy Convocation. So make sure that you are ready, get your priest garments, and we'll find the location then. With that being said, the men of Israel, Ma'atim, we stand, Ma'atim Shabbat, Ma'atim, Barak, Yahweh, Shem Yahweh, Barak, Yashmatah, Sar, courtesy salute to the sisters, men of Israel, Ma'atim Shabbat, Ma'atim, Barak, Yahweh, tomorrow, Shem Yahweh, Yashmatah, class dismissed.